everybody, welcome back to Peachy and Pebbles, and today I'm going to be talking about everything you need before getting a jumping right into the video. The first thing you're going to need before getting a puppy is a collar. Collars are super important so you can put their name tags, and if you take your dog quickly potty or something, then you can hook your leash to their collar. But you definitely don't want to use any type of choke collar or like chain collars that you find that have like little things going in and that just basically chokes them, or some collars have like a fabric and then a chain circle so that attaches to the leash, so when they pull it chokes them. You definitely do not want to harm your puppy in any way. They're still learning, and you definitely have to have a lot of patience when leash training, just because they're puppies and they're still learning, and you definitely don't want to be using harsh punishment, especially while they're just learning. So very similar to that, you're going to need a harness for walking your dog, and harnesses that I prefer are the front hook harnesses. If you never heard that before, it's basically just a harness that hooks in their chest, not on their back. So you definitely want the proper harness. Make sure that it fits your dog completely. You should really only be able to stick 2 fingers in between the harness, and this also applies for the collar. So make sure that it's snug on there, but also make sure that it's not too tight to where they can barely breathe, and don't make it too loose to where they can slip out of it. The next thing is leashes. I do recommend for leashes to have multiple different ones for different uses. So one of them would be, of course, for walking, and really just any leash I recommend. But actually, that's not true. Never mind. I do not recommend those leashes that just go on and on and on, and they like come out of the, I forgot what they're called, the extendable leashes, I think that's what they're called. Do not use those, as they're super dangerous, and I'll tell you why. They can easily be breakable, so if your dog pulls a lot on the leash, if they're not leash trained, then those can easily snap off. If you're like, well, I have a Chihuahua or I have a Yorkshire Terrier and they're so small they can't even break out of those. False, because they can be actually really strong. If they get into a dog fight, if they're like gone through the whole thing, you have to like run to them, and by that time either your dog or that other person's dog or whatever could have been seriously hurt. So you just really want your dog right next to you. You want to be in control. You want to be in control of your dog and not have him super far out there. So I don't recommend those leashes. I do recommend, if you are like what I use for Sadie when I'm playing fetch with her, or actually, yeah, that's really it, if I'm taking her out too, is like the 12-foot or longer leashes. They're not extractable, they're just like coiled up in a huge roll, and it's just like any other leash but just super long. I do recommend those if you like to play fetch with your dog, but you still want to have them on a leash, just in case something were to happen, you still have them on a leash. The next thing you're going to need are treats. I do a lot of videos and stuff about treats, and honestly, my opinion is you have to be really, really careful where you're buying your treats from, and that is why I just recommend homemaking your own treats, so that you know what you're putting in the food, you know what ingredients your dog can have. If they have allergies, then you can take out their allergy and just really customize your own treat. And also, it's a cheaper way to do that, and you can make as much as you want. But if you don't like homemaking food or doing anything of the sort, then you're just gonna have to be really careful and looking at ingredients. The brand Icelandic also has actually some really great treats. They're just like 100% natural with salmon or chicken or all that. Costco also did have this bag, I don't know if that sells over, but they have this huge bag of just 100% freeze dehydrated chicken that was super good, but it did go bad really fast, and they were in larger pieces, so that is like a lot of treats if you're giving a lot at the time. So also just be careful of what treats you use. I've done a video of what ingredients to avoid in treats and food and all that, so I'm not going to explain in this video, but if you do want to know what ingredients or in treats or in food to avoid, then go check out that video. Another thing that you're also going to need before getting your dog is, of course, toys. Now you have to be very cautious when buying different toys for your dogs. Some toys are called interactive toys, and those are just kind of basically most of the toys that you see in pet shops or stores, whatever. And those are just kind of like ropes, you know, stuffed animals, Kong, like more, not Kongs, but like more tough toys. And those are great, except some of those can be really dangerous. Most ropes have like little tuffle thingies on the ends of them, and those can be dangerous if you just let your dog chew on those for a while. They can start ingesting some of those tiny little particles, and that can be really dangerous. And some of the toys have fuzz on them, and especially if you have a puppy who's starting to teeth, then those can be really not safe. And I'm not saying don't use them. Those are really great toys, but you just have to supervise your dog and not let them just have it all day. Like, you can get those toys out when you're playing with your dog, and then when that play session is done, then you can remove that toy. Now, also toys that I know a lot of people sometimes do recommend but are actually not super safe are like those plastic bones that dogs chew on. Some of these can be safe, but you, especially for puppies who can chew pretty hard, or even just grown-up dogs, they can also have really strong jaws. And you have to be really careful on what kind of those plastic bones that you choose. You don't want it too skinny, you don't want it too flimsy or flexible. You want it like a really hard thing to chew. And the second you start, I mean, of course it's gonna get damaged because, you know, they're gnawing on it, but the second you start seeing it like be overly damaged, then chunk that and get a new one. And then another one that I don't recommend, that they do sell a lot of these, are these flavored ones. I can't imagine what ingredients those are to enhance the flavors, like, So don't get those flavored ones because you don't know, you have no idea what they're putting on that bone. And then some of them can be like jelly-like, and so it makes it like smooth, or like, not jelly, like, of course it's not jelly, but it's like rubber kind of smooth jelly. Like, do not get those because those can be even more easily, like those can be chewed up even easier. The next thing is food. This kind of applies for the same thing with treats. I home make both of my dogs food. They're both on a fresh food diet. They're not on kibble. I also have done a video on why kibble is bad for dogs, so check that out. If you do have to feed kibble, which all of you shouldn't have to feed kibble, there is a way that you don't have to feed kibble, but if you are insistent on doing kibble, then at least add some toppers like vegetables, goat milk, broth, some sort of topper on there, so that way they're not just having kibble. So yeah, just be very careful on what ingredients are in your dog's food. You don't want a lot of carbohydrates. Again, I've like a ton of videos, well, maybe not a ton, but I have a couple of videos on ingredients to avoid in that. The next thing that you're, of course, going to need is bowls. Anything you can have works. I personally do not like using stainless steel bowls because I heat my dog's food up because we freeze it, and so I need to heat it up, and it's just really hard to heat it up in a stainless steel bowl because you can't heat it up. It's just, I find it hard, and I need to heat it up in a glass bowl, and it just makes it easier, and it's also easier to clean, and it's just, I guess it lasts longer. The next thing that you're also going to really need for your puppy is a crate. This is kind of like a bed for your puppy, because when they go on naps, we use a crate. If you're crate training them, that's a great way. Definitely make sure you have a proper sized crate and that it is safe and they can't gnaw on anything in the crate, or the latches to shut the door are strong enough, that way they can't break out. So you just got to make sure it's the proper crate for your dog. The next thing that you're going to need is a playpen. So when you want your dog to come out of their designated area, then you can set up a playpen for them to be in while you're cooking dinner or doing your homework or watching TV, and you can't have them roaming around the house, of course. So a playpen is a great way to have them just in a designated spot. The next thing that you're going to need is toothpaste and a toothbrush. You're definitely going to need to start brushing your dog's teeth and doing all that dental health. Day one, you get your puppy. What I did is, I can do a separate video about this, but I'll just say this really quick. What I started to do is I have those finger toothbrushes, and about maybe the first month I had Sadie, I would just get the toothbrush wet and I would just brush her teeth with just water to get her used to that feeling. And then when she was, I don't know, once I did that for a couple of weeks, maybe months, I gradually introduced the toothpaste. I do not recommend any like mouthwash for dogs or mouth rinse or water just to freshen their breath. Those just are packed with terrible ingredients and they're not good for your dog because, you know, your dog is going to swallow it. Dogs don't spit out the water, so they're going to have to swallow that, and honestly, that is like so bad for your dog. So I home make my dog's toothpaste. I did a short about that. It's just baking soda and coconut oil, and I just mix that together. That is a great, natural, healthy toothpaste that I use for my dogs. They hate it, but it's definitely better than what you would buy in the stores or at your vet office. The next thing I do recommend getting, which of course you probably all are going to have when getting a puppy, is pee pads. You're going to need a ton of those to place in your pens or everywhere, just so that you're protecting your floors when they have an accident. The next thing that I do recommend, that I actually find myself using like almost every day, is a treat pouch. It just is a great thing to just have it on you, which is treats and stuff. And if you don't have a treat pouch, because you're not like, you know, walking your dog yet or something, I also recommend jars that have just like easy opening lids that you can just easily take a treat out of and feed that to your dog. So that way it's just easier to have treats around the house. You can grab them anywhere just in case your dog does something good and you want to reward that. The last thing that is super necessary to have, and it's not really like a item, it's a veterinarian. You definitely want a vet that you know of before getting your dog, because you don't want something to happen 5 months, 3 months, 2 weeks later after getting your dog. They get an injury or they get sick, and then you try to find a vet and then you're stressed out, your dog's sick, you need to get them to the vet and you can't find one. Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope it helped you kind of narrow down what you need to get before getting a puppy, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!